Salesforce Marketing Cloud CEO Scott McCorkle has launched a new startup backed by $14 million in funding, a lot of it from out of state. He's here to tell us how MetaCX is going to change the way software as a service suppliers and buyers work together and how we all engage with the enterprise software. Plus, you can see them in commercials at the mall and on this very show. Drones are all the craze these days. We'll talk with the founder of Carmel-based Bird's Eye Video about delivering aerial imaging and data services coast to coast. And it is a fact, the holidays, well, they can be stressful. Our Trendiana segment has tips for de-stressing and recharging this holiday season, all while supporting Indiana businesses. Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business.
Stand by for Top of Show with music full. Stand by D1 Sound, sponsored open with music. Stand by camera 3 with Gary. We're out in 5, 4, 3, 2, dissolve, cue Gary.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, he's been doing SaaS, software as a service, since before it was a thing. And he's now launching a new company after raising more than $14 million in funding. Former Salesforce and ExactTarget executive Scott McCorkle is the co-founder and CEO of MetaCX, which aims to transform how businesses manage their customers and how customers manage their vendors. McCorkle has been the company, or says the company, has been operating in stealth mode since January and plans to launch the product early next year. And for more on MetaCX and that big round of funding led by an early stage VC firm in California, let's turn now to Scott McCorkle. Scott, as always, welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Great to be here.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You've been doing software as a service for a long time. And you say that this software, this is the software you've always wanted.
It really is. Since 1999, hard to believe. We didn't call it SaaS then. And I have always wanted to know, are my customers who are in my product, the beautiful thing about SaaS is here's our product sitting on the internet, customers access it directly, there's no shipping CDs or containers, and my customers are in my product on the internet. Are they achieving the milestones they should achieve to be successful? We don't know. How do I keep track of all the outcomes my customers expect from my software? And are they achieving those outcomes? And how do I collaborate to help? And I want that collaboration to be in my product because that's where all the value is happening. That's what I've always wanted, and that's what we're building.
This is MetaCX, the 11th startup to spin out of High Alpha, the venture studio that is so successful, doing so many great things here in Indianapolis. Talk about the business model for MetaCX, what it's all about.
Yeah, we have thought really from the beginning of our idea that it's a two-sided coin. SaaS. It's not just making the supplier of the product effective, but how does the buyer, the customer of the SaaS product, how do they achieve the outcomes they expect? And I think we're in a transitionary period where all the buyers, the enterprises, the businesses in the world who buy SaaS products, they're looking for that next increase in value. So we want to bring both parties together in one collaborative space to share in the outcome definition and attainment.
A lot of people think this is a great idea. You raised $14 million in funding led by Upfront Ventures, an early stage VC firm in Los Angeles. Significant, I think that folks outside of Indiana are looking at this idea and say this is some cool innovation.
Well, you know, what's important for our ecosystem, which has really seen tremendous momentum and growth, is that we are part of a broader set of innovation centers. We want our innovation center to be successful and have great companies, but it exists alongside all the other innovation centers in our country and world. So we need capital local, we need capital national. And for MetaCX to attract LA-based capital at this phase of our execution is significant. And I think it speaks to not just the value we're creating, but eyes are on Indy.
Yeah, and you talk about eyes on Indy, whether it's High Alpha or some of the other success stories that have happened and continue to happen. Now your new company, that momentum tends to attract and success stories tend to attract that attention.
It sure does. I mean, things add on top of each other. There's placeholders where people remember, yeah, there's been a couple company launches here, aren't there? And there are moments of success like an ExactTarget that then creates a High Alpha, and you just have teams with experience and expectations of then accomplishing even more in the future, and that adds up, plus all these networks of connectivity. ExactTarget was operating on a global stage, and those relationships just don't go away. They're still there, and then can help feed this next generation of companies.
As you look at the potential for Meta CX, and you're going to launch right after the first of the year, what's the potential that you see for the company?
Oh, it's huge. We are humble Midwesterners, so first things first. We are still bringing our product to market. We have those first few customers coming on board, and we'll have more come online here in the first of the year. But we really think we have an idea that speaks to the foundation of what it means for a supplier of a digital product and a buyer of a digital product to be successful. And we live in a world that's been transformed digitally, and we think that this is something that would benefit many, many companies.
Could in fact be that next big success story in the Indiana technology story that continues to develop. Scott McCorkle, co-founder and CEO of Meta CX, thanks for joining us. We'll follow the story.
Gary, thank you.
All right. Well, still ahead, Indiana's largest privately held telecommunications company has a new leader. New Smithville president Paul Quick is here to share his vision for the company. But first, in just 4 years, a Carmel-based drone service franchise that started with 3 people and a dream, soaring to success with 17 franchises nationwide and 2 international offices. The CEO of Bird's Eye Video is here to talk about what's fueling growth. It's time now to go inside innovation, brought to you by DMI, mobilizing enterprises for the connected world. Well, an airplane pilot who got laid off in the wake of 9/11 turned to the emerging industry of drones, launching Bird's Eye Video in Carmel. In just 4 years, the company has expanded to 17 franchises nationwide, has 2 international offices as well. And for more on the evolution of the drone industry and how it's changing the way some companies are doing business, pleased to be joined by Bird's Eye Video founder and CEO Josh Kneifel. And Josh, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, you started this venture in 2014. 3 people and a dream, as you say in some of the background here. Talk about the drone business, why you got into it, what you were seeing in that business that made you start Bird's Eye Video.
Sure. So back in 2014, I subscribed to Entrepreneur Magazine, and I read a small blurb. It was 2 or 3 sentences. It talked about this emerging technology, a drone. I'd never heard of it. I wasn't in the military, but I talked to my wife and said, hey, I'm going to pick up one of these just to see what it can do. And long story short, I started the business in 2014, did some marketing type promo videos for residential and commercial real estate contacts I had, and it just sort of morphed into a bigger animal. At that point in time, there were no regulations. Coming from the aviation world, I knew what the FAA was involved in terms of safety and focus on all of that. So I started the business and ultimately franchised it in 2015 as things grew. Okay,
talk about Bird's Eye Video, what it's all about, because you really focus on that, what I'll call the commercial market, the big businesses and in specific sectors.
Right. Yeah, so we, again, started the business both on the marketing side, residential and commercial. When the regulations opened the door for others to get into the industry, we quickly turned more towards the industrial focus. So right now we're looking at energy, which encompasses oil and gas, solar, wind and power, commercial real estate, telecom, which is cell towers, and agriculture. So those are the 4 focuses. In my opinion, I would like to see us focus even more going forward.
Yeah. We'll talk about growth, because you've grown in markets with franchises around the country. You have an international presence as well.
Yep, yeah, so we have 17 franchise locations right now. Some of those are in multiple markets. And then we have a partner down in Brazil and a business development partner out in the UK.
Talk about, as you look at this industry, which is changing so rapidly, give me your description of where you see the industry now and where you see it going in your space, in the commercial space, but also there are a lot of kind of one-off folks who are using drones as well.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. Yeah. So there are a lot of folks getting into the business, and it's grown tremendously. I think there was 60,000 commercial certified pilots in 2017 or 2016, and that's grown to over 120,000 now. So it's more than doubled. The FAA expects close to 400,000 by 2021. So it's just, tenfold, growth. And The industry, I think, is heading towards some consolidation, mergers and acquisitions for the larger players, and it's going to become more of not really focused on the drone, but I think the tool in the toolbox, the data acquisition and the value it brings to the clients.
And I want to bring that up because it's the video that's important, but data is a big part of obviously what you do and a number of other companies are focused on.
Exactly, yeah, huge piece of the business. I think ultimately the drone is the sexy tool today. It could be an airplane or a camera on a stick, as my partner Gordon Dowry says. So it's the matter of bringing that value to the client depending on what they need, and this is usually a more efficient or more cost-effective way to do it.
All right, lots changing in the world of drones around the country and around the world. Bird's Eye Video growing right here in Indiana and beyond. Josh Kneifel, thanks very much, and we'll look forward to following your story.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, here's what's on tap now in tech news, served up by Sun King. Another major development coming to Fishers. Indianapolis-based Browning Investments planning a $157 million downtown project that will include a boutique hotel, residential, office space, retail space as well. Fishers-based First Internet Bancorp will anchor the development by moving its headquarters to a 6-story building in the heart of the city's downtown. Indianapolis-based mobility management software and services company Mobi has been acquired. New Jersey-based Tango says Mobi's Indianapolis office will become the headquarters for the combined company's global managed mobility services business. Meanwhile, Greenwood-based online glasses retailer One Click Ventures has been acquired by FGX International in Rhode Island. One Click says it will maintain its Indiana headquarters and continue to operate as a standalone business. And a prison coding program introduced to Indiana earlier this year is getting a boost. Google has announced a $2 million grant to California-based nonprofit The Last Mile, which provides technology and business skills training for inmates. The funding will support, in part, the launch of Indiana's first coding program for incarcerated juveniles at the Pendleton Juvenile Correctional Facility. And for Tech News 24/7, be sure to check out InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Still ahead, the holidays can be a stressful time, but several Hoosier businesses are focused on helping you de-stress during this busy time of the year. In this month's Trendiana segment, we'll show you 5 ways to curb holiday stress and support local businesses. But next, Ellettsville-based Smithville has a new leader with a hefty telecommunications background. President Paul Quick is here to discuss his new role. Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by your Indiana Pacers. Well, a steel supply and coil processing manufacturer is moving from Illinois to Gary. Alliance Steel says it will invest nearly $20 million to establish its Northwest Indiana headquarters and create about 130 jobs over 5 years. Jeffersonville-based Bowles Mattress Company has begun a partnership with West Baden Springs Hotel to sell mattresses the company supplies for the resort through select retailers. The family-owned company says demand grew after a 2018 article in USA Today ranking West Baden Springs as number 2 in the country for hotel sleep quality. The South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership says per capita personal income in the region grew at a rate of nearly 5.4% between 2016 and 17, nearly 2% higher than the national rate. The 5-county region saw more than $32.7 billion in total personal income last year. And the Web.com Tour signed a 10-year deal with Victoria National Golf Club near Evansville. The course will serve as host venue for the Web.com Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance through 2028. Well, Indiana's largest privately held telecommunications company has a new president on board. Paul Quick comes to Smithville from Frontier Communications, where he held a senior executive position leading operations for numerous states. For more on his vision for Smithville, I'm pleased to welcome Paul Quick to the program. And Paul, welcome to the program. Welcome to Indiana as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here in the Hoosier State and great to learn more about this wonderful state, what it has to offer, and the people who live here. Yeah,
well, a lot going on. You come to Smithville from Frontier Communications. You were out in Connecticut, led 1,500 or so employees, multiple states. You had a lot of responsibilities. What attracted you to this opportunity at Smithville?
Just a tremendous opportunity. I got to tell you, I had a chance through the interviewing process to meet the ownership, Darby and Cullen McCarty, had an opportunity to meet with their board. And the thing that I liked right off the top was I really liked the people. and their integrity and what they talked about they stood for. And since I've come here to Indiana, all the things that I thought I saw in the interview process have turned out to be true. The other thing that I'm really excited about is the investment in product by Smithfield. Simply stated, we have fantastic product. We deliver tremendous speeds to all of our customers, and those speeds give them a reliable internet experience and reliable phone experience that they can truly count on and be delighted by.
As you look at opportunities, certainly the telecommunications business is rapidly changing and evolving. As you look at opportunities at Smithfield, where do you see them?
Well, there's a number of opportunities. I think we're going to continue to grow our fiber hoods like we've done in places like Jasper. But in addition to that, there are a number of small and medium businesses throughout our entire footprint where we think we can offer them a better product solution. We're going to give them a chance to see what Smithfield is all about, and we intend to be a formidable competitor.
Yeah, how about, rural broadband is such a huge issue in many places, including Indiana. Certain areas of the state are just, flat underserved. As you look at that rural broadband issue, do you see Smithfield playing a role?
Absolutely. I think we're very fortunate in the United States to have a United States government that's willing to make investments in rural broadband. Same thing here in the state of Indiana. They're willing to make investments in rural broadband. I think with a thoughtful plan around ways to reach rural communities, we can truly deliver great products. Not just ourselves, but a number of the companies throughout the region can deliver great products to the customers of this state.
What, in your view, is going to be key to solving this rural broadband issue? It's not an easy issue to tackle.
Sure.
What do you think are going to be some keys to making it happen?
Again, thoughtful investment, but time. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to reach everyone overnight. But with some thoughtful investment, placing money in the right places, some support from the federal government, state government, we believe that we can serve the customers of this state and give them a positive broadband experience.
As we wrap up, I only have about 20 seconds, but as you look at the outlook for Smithfield going forward, you've got the big vision and things you want to do. How do you look at the landscape continues to change? How do you look at the
It's a very competitive landscape. But great product always wins. And we believe we have some of the best product in the state, and we think that that's going to help us delight and win some consumers over to our brand. All
right, Paul Quick is the new president at Smithfield. Paul, great to have you on the show. Great to have you in Indiana as well. Look forward to following your story.
You bet. Thank you for your time.
Well, coming up next, the holidays can bring as much stress as they do joy sometimes. In this month's Trendiana segment, Yelp's Brittany Smith will show us a few stress-busting ideas that also support local businesses. There she is in the Inside Indiana Business Social Media Lounge, presented by the seasoned commercial bankers at Star Bank, getting to know you and your business. Well, shopping, wrapping gifts, crowds, old man winter. It's easy to understand why the most wonderful time of the year may not necessarily feel so wonderful sometimes. In this month's Trendiana segment, we've rounded up some ways to de-stress and support local businesses at the same time. Yelp Indy's Midwest Regional Director, Brittany Smith, returns with some tips to stay happy, healthy, and energized. And Brittany, welcome as always.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
This whole stressful time during the holidays, which people talk about all the time, there are some businesses around the state that have kind of crafted this into kind of a business almost in and of itself.
Yeah, and it's a great way, when you're taking care of yourself, to also support a local business the same way you would during the holidays.
Yep. Okay. So you've got 5 ways to curb holiday stress and support local businesses at the same time. One is to explore a new To You holiday exhibit.
Yeah, and a great example of that is Miracle on South. This is a pop-up bar at the Platte 99 and Alexander Hotel downtown. So they've created this tent space that feels like you're walking into like a 1980s living room of your grandma's during the holidays. They've got old videos playing, a nostalgic, kitschy menu, so you can get their version of puppy chow along with a full menu of craft cocktails all set around the holidays. It's beautiful.
Great. And they have one of these up in South Bend as well?
Up in South Bend has another location for it. So there's actually 80 cities across the country that are doing this Miracle on South concept. This is the first year Indiana's had some.
Yeah, very cool. A massage. I mean, that's kind of a traditional thing, but that can really be a de-stressor.
Yes, it's a natural way to do it. Indy Massage Company is the top-rated massage business in Central Indiana on Yelp. And the thing people really love about it is they have a loyalty card. So you can take care of yourself throughout the year, also get some nice little perks there. And they have so many massage therapists on site that it's very easy to schedule. So if you need one tomorrow, you can make it happen.
Gotcha. Okay, number 3. 3 on the list is to take care of yourself.
Yes,
right?
yes. Simplicity Juice. So this business has exploded in the last few years. It's natural pressed juices using Midwestern produce. You can find it at over 4 dozen Kroger and Market District locations throughout Indiana. So you can do a juice cleanse at home, or if you're feeling a little naughty, you can do it with a holiday cocktail. So it's a really fun business either way.
I like the later.
Yes.
The latter, yes.
More
the
Gary
latter.
style.
Okay, the weather can be a kind of a stressful thing, cold,
Yes.
wet, rainy, those types of things. But you're saying embracing the weather and getting outdoors.
Yes, yeah. Indiana has 25 state parks, and each of them have really fun ways that they're embracing the winter. So you can go to Pokagon up in Angola, do some tobogganing. You can also, go to the Indiana Indiana Dunes. I'm saying snow dunes in my head. Ice skating is a great option up there. Sledding on the dunes, and also they have great deals during the winter, 2 for 1 night. So you can stay overnight, make a whole weekend of it.
Yep. There's also a trendy term now. Is it hygge?
Hygge, yeah,
right?
hygge. Yes, it's actually a Danish term about embracing the winter months, coziness, really leaning into it versus viewing the winter as a bad thing. So Soak Your Soul is a great local business to tap into that. They have these bath soaks that are using natural ingredients. You can do a bath and really enjoy yourself, as well as using Traders Point Creamery, the chocolate milk. People love that from Zionsville. So just different ways to make it fun.
And in museums too.
Yes.
Traditional museums that you may go to other times of the year. The holidays can be a really cool time to go.
So many of our museums are really tapping into the winter months, reinventing themselves to give you multiple reasons to visit throughout the year. A great example of that, Winter Lights at the Indianapolis Museum of Art. The Lily House is decorated from top to bottom with handmade decorations. It's truly stunning.
Awesome stuff. De-stressful things. I'm going to check them all out.
That's right. Enjoy yourself.
Brittany Smith, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, U.S. Health Vest and Hendricks Regional Health partnering on a major new behavioral center. We'll have details coming up. Stay with us.
Stand by D1 Sound, sponsored open with music. Stand by camera 3 with Gary. We're out in 5, 4, 3, 2, dissolve, cue Gary.
Well, Hoosier medical leaders say demand for behavioral health and addiction treatment services is at an unprecedented level, but providers have really been unable to keep pace. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta tells us how a new hospital hopes to bridge that gap. Kylie.
Thank you, Gary. A $25 million hospital will be built just west of Indianapolis, dedicated solely to mental health services. Hendricks Regional Health is leasing more than a quarter of the land on its Plainfield campus to U.S. Health Vest, a national company that provides behavioral health services. Joining me now to tell us more about the Indianapolis Behavioral Hospital is Gary Everling, Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer at Hendricks Regional Health. Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Hendricks could have focused on anything, a cancer center or a heart hospital, but why did you choose mental health in particular?
Well, I think everybody knows the huge need with mental health, and it's a service that was desperately requested in our community. If you look at the state, the numbers are sobering and staggering. There's over 700,000 Hoosiers that struggle with mental health. Over half of those have a coexisting condition of substance abuse. The numbers that are even worse are there are about 150,000 Indiana residents who have considered suicide in the last 12 months, and even more alarming is, that really touches our heart, is among the Indiana high school students. About 1 out of 5 have considered suicide in the last 12 months, and so we've got to be a part of the solution to that, and we're proud to be so.
And we'll talk a little bit more about the medical side of things, but on the business side, you said it was a hard decision to give up about a quarter of the property on your Plainfield campus, leasing it to U.S. Health Vest. Why did Hendricks choose U.S. Health Vest in particular?
Right. Well, actually, U.S. Health Vest reached out to the Indiana Hospital Association and asked, if there were hospitals that they wanted to partner with. Obviously, their brand doesn't mean as much in this market. They're going to build that brand, but they wanted to be attached and partner with a hospital. And I met with their real estate folks, and make a long story short, we did a lot of due diligence on this organization. We did some background checks on the owner, on the organization. I talked to other hospital CEOs around the country that have partnered with them, and spotless reputation. I'd tell you the other thing that is speaks volumes of U.S. Health Vest is that regardless of their patient's ability to pay, regardless of their age, or regardless of their condition, whether it's substance abuse or mental health. They accept everybody, and that fits really well with our mission.
And you mentioned some really huge numbers as far as Hoosiers that have a mental health condition. How does that translate into impacting the local economy for those people having someplace to go now for treatment?
Sure. Well, locally right now, people have to be transferred either to the south side of Indianapolis or on the east side of Indianapolis if they need inpatient care or intensive outpatient care. So that's significant in and of itself, just from a lifestyle standpoint and access to care. We have relationships and partnerships with over 450 employers in our market. Many of those employers provide health insurance. Most of them do. And much of that health insurance cost is related to mental health, where there's really not a really strong provider in that market that U.S. Health Vest can bring. And so that's going to be a huge impact, positive impact from a financial standpoint to those employers.
And we just have a few seconds left, but there is going to be some collaboration, even though U.S. Health Vest owns this hospital. Tell us a little bit about how you'll collaborate.
Yeah, so we've already talked to U.S. Health Vest. We met with their leadership, and they're going to work with a team to have their team in our emergency department in Danville and in Brownsburg to help with the transition of those patients. Let's get them taken care of from a medical standpoint, and then if they need mental health status, if they have a mental health status and need further care for that, then we can help that transition to that hospital. They'll also accept direct transfers from an ambulance standpoint as well. But we always, as a hospital, most hospitals receive many of those patients in their ER. So a lot of collaboration opportunity.
Well, Gary, thank you so much for being here. A very important topic.
Well, thank you.
Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, there are only a few times in life when you really do get a second chance. The Hoosier Youth Challenge Academy is one of them. The program developed to really change the life path of at-risk young people between the ages of 16 and 18 by bringing structure and discipline to their lives and preparing them for the workforce. In this week's Eye on Education report, Major General Courtney P. Carr, the Adjutant General of Indiana, is here to talk about more about the academy that is making a difference in more ways than one. And General Carr is always welcome to the program.
Sir, very good to see you. Thank you.
Let's talk about the Hoosier Youth Challenge Academy. It really is part of a national program, these Youth Challenge Academies around the country. But this here in Indiana is in Knightstown, Indiana, at the old Soldiers and Sailors Home, right?
That's correct. And we started the program in 2007 at Camp Atterbury, and then relocated it to Knightstown, Indiana at the Soldiers and Sailors Children's Home, which was, that facility was vacant at the time. And we moved the Youth Challenge program there, and it's just a great location, very historic.
Yeah, great program to go into that historic facility. Talk about the Hoosier Youth Challenge Academy. The Indiana National Guard does so many things that people, I don't think, realize what you do in economic development and other areas, but this Hoosier Youth Challenge Academy is really making a difference.
You know, so the National Guard is a community-based organization, and this is a way that the National Guard can work with communities to make a difference for young people in the state. And so this program, we run 2 programs a year, or 2 classes a year. They're 5.5-month resident, broken into 2 phases, and 2-week acclimation phase, very structured and disciplined, as you mentioned. And then the predominance of it is academic, life skills, service to community, focused, confidence building, developing a life plan over those last 5 months, followed by a 12-month non-resident mentorship period where they continue to work with a mentor towards the accomplishment of their life plan. And
this is really instilling that military discipline and structure and those types of things into really at-risk young people, 16 to 18-year-olds.
Gary, that's right. You know, the statistics would say that there's a 350% greater risk of incarceration for young men and women that don't have a high school diploma. And 68% of incarcerated males don't have a high school diploma. So the facts kind of suggest that the odds are stacked against you if you don't have a high school diploma. And so this program allows young men and women that second chance that you talked about to get life skills, discipline, structure, and their high school equivalency. 62% of the participants in this program get their high school equivalency during the program.
Wow. And the numbers are, do kind of tell the story, $855,000 in scholarship money awarded. So this is putting these young people at risk on a path to really contribute to the workforce.
Yes, sir. 30% of the kids will graduate with some amount of college credit through Ivy Tech and courses that are taught at Knightstown and Youth Challenge Academy. But then there's Ivy Tech and Lincoln Tech both give scholarships in large dollars amounts for kids to continue their education, and several will go on to college. Some go into trade schools, but every one of these young men and women graduate with a life plan of what they're going to accomplish.
And I know as we wrap up, you're getting ready to graduate another class, I think, in another week or so.
Yeah, their graduation banquet is Thursday, and graduation is Saturday the 15th.
Yeah, and that's got to be a pretty prideful moment, a pretty neat moment.
It's standing room only in the Greenfield High School auditorium.
Major General Courtney Carr, the Hoosier Youth Challenge Academy in Knightstown. Really a cool story and really making a difference. Thanks for sharing it with us, and we'll be following the story.
Thank you.
All right. Well, a reminder, all of our ION Education segments can be found at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. And if you have an interesting story idea, please send it to segment producer Tara Twig at ttwig@growindiana.net. Well, still ahead, we have a special insiders panel to weigh in on momentum in the Indiana ag bioscience sector. But first, Purdue University football fans have several reasons to celebrate this season. The team headed to the Music City Bowl, and head coach Jeff Brohm is staying. Longtime Purdue insider and publisher at goldandblack.com, Alan Karpick, will look to the future of football at Purdue. That's next. Well, after a very anxious period of uncertainty, Purdue football fans were able to calm down when Jeff Brohm confirmed he would, in fact, remain as the Boilermakers head coach. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gary, thanks. Well, public reports that Brohm would bail after 2 seasons and return to his alma mater and his hometown, Louisville, proved to be false in days after beating rival Indiana in the old Oaken Bucket game and securing a second straight bowl appearance. Brohm affirmed his commitment to stay in West Lafayette. And joining us today to provide perspective is longtime Purdue insider and the publisher of goldandblack.com, Alan Karpick. And Alan, always great to see you again.
Always great to be with you.
And it was an anxious time there. This all boiled up, no pun intended, before the Indiana game, and then was resolved shortly thereafter when Jeff said he was going to stay.
It was never a dull moment. I think the thing that was most interesting about it is Jeff Brohm talked publicly about his commitment to Purdue a couple weeks before, when a lot of the noise, as he called it, came out. And in the end of the day, he was able to commit to that and stay with it. And I think it's Purdue fans, you've known it long, been around him a long time. It was very nervous because they thought, oh, here he goes. We finally got somebody that's really great, and he's going to leave. He didn't, and that has been, Purdue sat on the precipice, right on the cliff. He ends up staying, all as well. If he'd have left, it would have been a difficult amount of damage control to deal with.
And after the Darrell Hazel and Danny Hope period, and certainly that was a very difficult time for Purdue, but everybody now is so enthusiastic, and the program just seems like it has so much energy and enthusiasm behind it.
Well, as we know, sports is about enthusiasm and having the ability to bring that to the core. I mean, he does that as well as everybody. There's a lot of sizzle in this steak, so to speak, and I think Purdue has that momentum going forward. It's still not a finished product. I mean, the roster still could use a couple more years of seasoning, but when you're going to play Auburn in a bowl game where you might have 10 or 15,000 fans or even more come, there's a lot of excitement. You beat Indiana and you beat Ohio State. That's all good news to Purdue fans.
There was an additional Louisville tie, of course, and his name is Rondale Moore. And this kid is fantastic, freshman of the year and all Big Ten receiver, just a tremendous kid. But perhaps if Brohm had left, he might have left too?
Yeah, I think he might have, but that's the good thing too, because there was as much, maybe not quite as much, but almost as much angst about the fact that Rondale Moore might not be playing at Purdue, and the fact that he's going to, he's the kind of guy you have to see in person. So Jeff Brohm and company, season ticket sales are up 45% in 2 years. This is a guy you've got to see. It's must-see television, but must-see football in Ross-Ade Stadium too.
leadership, and Jeff Brohm's talked about that. Mitch Daniels, your president of the Board of Trustees, Mike Berghoff, and Mike Babinski, your athletic director. I mean, that was also key for Jeff Brohm.
Well, I think it's all, having it all in sync at the right time, and a guy like Jeff Brohm can look at that situation and say, I'm not going to find a better situation. He may be going someplace down the road. I mean, he's a rising star in coaching, but I think he also sees the value of where Purdue is right now, and for the next X number of years, you can grow it big time and do big things at Purdue, and that's where I think that Jeff Brohm found it very, very hard to turn that down.
Quickly, let's look ahead. December 28th, Music City Bowl against Auburn, and again, that's a great opportunity for Purdue fans just to 4 hours down the highway.
You absolutely couldn't have had a better bowl game for Purdue and fans, and again, to build that, continue that interest. And Jeff Brohm takes bowl games seriously. I expect Purdue to play well, and it's going to be in front of a lot of Purdue fans.
And as we close, not coincidentally, with the rise and resurgence of Purdue football, goldenblack.com is also your subscription rates way up, right?
All good, and the fact is we can do all the good content in the world, but if there's excitement about the program, it doesn't hurt.
All right. Well, Al, great to see you. Thanks for making the
Bill.
trip.
Always enjoy
Best
it.
luck to you.
All right,
Gary,
thank you.
back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, coming up, a special insiders panel here to talk about a big year and big momentum in the Indiana ag biosciences sector and the factors contributing to that success. There they are in the Inside Indiana Business Social Media Lounge, presented by the seasoned commercial bankers at Starbank, getting to know you and your business. Well, the state's ag bioscience sector has in many ways been on fire in 2018, from a number of new companies to national events and shows, international trips. This week, we've assembled a special insiders panel to talk about the ag bioscience ecosystem in Indiana, successes, also challenges that might lie ahead. Our insiders this week are Agrinovus President and CEO Beth Bechtel, also Corteva Agriscience President of Crop Protection Business Platform Suzanne Wasson, and Wabash Heartland Innovation Network CEO Johnny Park. And welcome one and all to the Insiders this week. A special Insiders focused on, Beth, a sector of the economy that really is gaining in momentum. As you look at the things going on well, first of all, ag bioscience. When you talk about ag bioscience, give us, for folks who might not know, give us the definition.
Sure. We simply say that the ag biosciences are the sector where food, agriculture, science, and technology all converge. And oftentimes we'll put plus signs. People will see that in our materials. We'll put plus signs in the middle of the words to show that it is modern 21st century production agriculture meets biology, the life sciences, pharma and human health, meets science and technology.
Talk about what's fueling in some of this momentum, because Indiana has become in focus in this sector.
It has, and a big part of that, Gary, you know, is being able to promote the things that many of us long knew that we already had as far as food and agricultural technology assets. When I think about the global innovators like Corteva, Elanco Animal Health, Beck's Hybrids, United Animal Health, the institutions that are here, Purdue, Ivy Tech, Huntington, there's so much that was already happening that I think the formation of Agrinovus to really sort of build out the ecosystem to both amplify the story that is already taking place in Indiana, keep building upon it, but bring more of the connections and partnerships together around this innovation space were really sort of the most critical pieces.
Beth mentioned Corteva as a new name on the scene, but really a global presence. Talk about Corteva, the result of a merger, and we're going to be hearing a lot more about that company locally.
Absolutely. So Corteva Agriscience has a global business center here in Indianapolis, and we're so pleased to be part of the state of Indiana and all the exciting things that are happening here. And one of the reasons that we are excited, if you think about the ecosystem, there are multinational companies, there are startups that are here, the public education institutions, like Beth mentioned, both Purdue and Ivy Tech, and then we have both farmers and livestock producers right out our back door. And it truly is the crossroads of ag bioscience. if you think about the future and about our ability to innovate, technology is changing so fast. And the opportunity to have all of those folks around the table and to collaborate, which we think is the future as technology changes, AgriNovus is the perfect conduit to bring that all together.
I want to ask you about talent in a minute because that's a big piece of this. But Johnny, you're the CEO, the head of the Wabash Heartland Innovation Network, which is a regional collaboration, 10 counties, I think, up in the Lafayette, West Lafayette area. Talk about your focus because precision agriculture is part of it, right?
Yeah. So WIN is a 10-county consortium in north central Indiana. Our ambitious goal is to develop the region into the global leader of digital agriculture and next generation manufacturing, really by harnessing the power of IoT, the internet-enabled sensors. And we believe that's really a key to enable the success and build the ecosystem to attract new talents, new companies in the region.
And you come at this from real experience because you launched and ultimately sold a company, at Purdue University, Spensa Technologies, which was acquired. As you look at it from the business standpoint, why does it make sense for Indiana to put a lot of focus on this and really get behind this? What's the opportunity for success?
Well, so if you think about Indiana, we have key assets. As Beth mentioned, Purdue University being the only university in the nation with a top 10 College of Ag and top 10 College of Engineering, a wonderful asset that we have. In our backyard, we have wonderful industry sectors, Corteva, Elanco, wonderful agribusinesses, and we have this really progressive state leaders who see the importance of building this ecosystem together and reaching out to community. So I think it's all those things combined, it's a ripe for a wonderful environment for startups to thrive and build upon.
What's in terms of challenges, Beth? Everybody, it's not just the ag bioscience manufacturer, you name it, it's talent.
Yeah.
And I know that's a key issue for in this sector as well. How do you look at that whole talent situation?
Well, so I think one of the things that we see as our next big focus is making sure that we get more young people to think about careers in the ag biosciences. So you just heard Purdue and Ivy Tech mentioned here among the three of us, but I'm now spending more of my time thinking about IUPUI, Notre Dame, Rose-Hulman, Butler, because there are tremendous studies, areas of discipline that those students are coming out immensely well prepared for, whether it's informatics, business and finance, robotics, data sciences, that are perfectly situated and actually important needs now, growing needs in the sort of employment and recruitment area for the ag biosciences.
Yeah. And Susanna, I know you are actively involved with the National FFA organization, the Blue Room, which was really focused on, again, educating young people about the cool careers in the ag biosciences. That's critical to the success of companies like Corteva and the others we mentioned.
Absolutely, because the industry has a shortage of employees to fill roles today. And when we partnered with AgriNovus and Microsoft, along with a lot of other companies, to bring the Blue Room to the National FFA convention just a few weeks ago, the main objective of that was to showcase technology, because farming and livestock production are high-tech industries. We use data, we use technology every day, and I don't think the average student really understands that. And it's really to open their minds when they're in high school to the opportunities for employment, and then that may help them as they're making decisions for higher education.
Do you think the Blue Room, do you think that, we're looking at some of the cool video from that event, is making some initial inroads?
I think students were overwhelmed by the opportunity to sit on a couch and watch a TED-like talk, and to be able to touch an iPad and see computer technology in farming, or look at drones making pictures of farm fields, and trying to understand how that data gets collected to make decisions for farmers. So I feel absolutely it really opened their eyes, and although there was a small number of students that got to go through the Blue Room, the Blue Room is actually Blue Room 365, so they're taking all of that information, all of those talks, and making that available to agriculture educators for lesson plans throughout the year.
Yeah. As we wrap up, Beth, talk about opening eyes. Indiana's getting a lot of national attention. The Forbes Ag Bioscience Summit that was here, first time outside of California. So talk a little bit about that. We were talking about things here in Indiana, great, but people outside are beginning to notice.
Absolutely, and these, you know, two partners of ours can speak to some of these as well in our last, you know, seconds here. But you mentioned Forbes. Suzanne mentioned this partnership with Microsoft. We just announced last week a new partnership with a Silicon Valley venture firm, SVG Partners, Thrive, to put a new accelerator program here in the Midwest. So the relationships that we've been able to build, we've been able to travel with Governor Holcomb to Israel, focusing on sort of ag tech startup opportunities across the world, and to have Indiana partners and Indiana ag bioscience leaders, and to have Agrinovus help facilitate that, to your point, has put us on a global stage that I don't know that we would have anticipated being on.
Lots of excitement and new companies coming to the state. Talpolina, Solymph Tech, another company going to the Purdue Research Park as well. So lots of momentum. We'll have you all back to talk more about it, because there's a lot more that will be going on. Beth Bechtel, also Suzanne Wasson, and Johnny Park. Thanks one and all for being here, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Well, coming up next week, Inside Indiana Business hits the road to showcase massive quality of life projects underway around the state. We'll be coming to you from the Ironworks Hotel Indy, taking and talking about the big projects going on all over the state. Waterside, Bottle Works, and 16 Tech in Indy, Electric Works in Fort Wayne, the Renaissance District in South Bend, and a lot more. We'll talk about how those projects relate to talent and Indiana's need to attract and retain talent for the future economy. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures, with support from WFYI Productions.